The real financial revolution is taking place outside of the United States, in a world where lawsuits and regulatory disputes dominate the news. A seismic event is occurring throughout Eurasia, Africa, and the Global South as the SEC and Ripple Square, often American courts. A recent concerted move by the Brics countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, could change the global financial landscape by making XRP their go-to cross-border settlement method. And with that action, the US dollar's long-standing dominance, especially that of the petrodollar, is coming to an end. This has nothing to do with speculation or hype. It involves survival, strategy, and math. Oil contracts, international banking standards, and the world's faith in the soundness of the U.S. economy have all supported the U.S. dollar's dominance in international trade for many years. However, trust is eroding. Sanctions are now considered weapons. SWIFT is now used for surveillance. And countries that are ready to start something new are fed up with being told how they can trade and with whom. XRP might simply be the power behind that. Let's be clear, BRICS is not a small alliance. These countries collectively make up more than 40% of the world's population and more than 30% of its GDP. More significantly, though, they generate and use a significant amount of the commodities produced worldwide. Technology, food, metals, gas, and oil. Regardless of their political affinities with Washington, they have been forced to settle in US dollars for years. Balance was never intended in the system's design. It was designed to be dominant. While the rest of the world had to earn or borrow the same currency at significant expense, the United States was able to create and spend with impunity thanks to the dollar-based trading order. BRICS is currently spearheading the de-dollarization movement. Although China and Russia have been advocating for this movement since the 2008 financial crisis, recent geopolitical unrest has put theory into practice. The world was awakened by the United States' sanctions against Russia, the freezing of sovereign reserves, and the weaponization of SWIFT. All of the big economies outside of the West started to wonder, what if we're next? Thus, BRICS started looking into different settlement structures. Bilateral currency swaps were introduced first, followed by trading platforms backed by gold. However, each choice had its drawbacks. Simply said, national currencies aren't neutral. They are unpredictable, political, and, to be honest, difficult to scale globally. In reality, BRICS needed a bridge. Something quick, stable, decentralized, and neutral. Something that no one country could seize and that could move trillions. XRP comes into play at that point. XRP was created specifically to fulfill the role of a global settlement layer across borders, banks, and currencies. It is not just another cryptocurrency. It is essentially designed for extensive international trade with transaction durations of roughly 3 seconds, almost negligible fees, and the capacity to process thousands of transactions per second. Most significantly, XRP is politically acceptable to all BRICS members because it is not governed by any state. Even to competitors like China and India, the business that was primarily responsible for the development of XRP, Ripple, has been establishing connections in the areas that are currently at the forefront of the de-dollarization movement. Ripple has established collaborations with Saudi Arabian and United Arab Emirates central banks in the Middle East, involving trial projects for remittances based on digital assets. In Asia, Ripple has strong ties to the Monetary Authority of Singapore, Japan's SBI Group, and several financial institutions in Thailand, the Philippines, and South. These integrations aren't arbitrary. The goal of this planned, low-key implementation of new financial infrastructure is to eventually displace the US dollar completely and replace the antiquated correspondent banking system. Consider this situation. BRICS agrees to use XRP to settle trade. Saudi Arabia consents to use XRP to price some of its oil. Using smart contracts on the XRP ledger, Russia and India trade natural gas. China settles large rare earth mineral exports with Brazil using XRP. These are not mere conjectures. They are already working prototypes. Under non-disclosure agreements, some are taking place. Others are being tested under the blockchain innovation umbrella. However, the trajectory is obvious. This would generate demand for XRP on a magnitude that has never been witnessed before. There are presently about 50 billion XRP tokens in circulation out of a fixed quantity of 100 billion. Trillions could be needed in liquidity if international trade settlement starts to move to the XRP ledger. Suppose that only 25% of the Brics trade, which is worth over $4 trillion a year, starts to be settled in XRP. That amounts to $1 trillion in transaction that needs immediate settlement liquidity. Hundreds of billions of dollars worth of XRP would still need to be kept in escrow wallets and liquidity hubs, even with high velocity, which means XRP is reused several times every day. Scarcity results from this. Price pressure is a result of scarcity. Additionally, price pressure and worldwide demand combine to produce a valuation that makes $10,000 per XRP seem completely realistic. That's impossible, critics will argue. The market capitalization would be enormous. However, that criticism misunderstands the operation of XRP. It is not necessary for every user to keep XRP in their wallet. Like a central clearinghouse, it serves as a bridge, a token that moves value between tracks. How much institutional liquidity depends on XRP is more important than how many people speculate on it. When multinational trading houses, energy firms, and central banks start using XRP to settle daily trades worth billions of dollars. Prices driven by utility will increase regardless of retail demand. In actuality, the line between infrastructure and speculation needs to be made. Bitcoin remains mostly a speculative investment. Ethereum is geared towards developers. Many thanks for listening. Please remember to hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. To be the first to know when I post new stuff, make sure you have enabled the alerts as well. I can't wait to see you again in the next video. Be careful.